everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters just like yourself. I am Evan Erwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Reuben Bresler.
Happy end of the year, everybody.
Oh, we are doted out. We are decked
That's
out.
right.
We're talking about the Magic Micsies, the annual awards that we have done now since 2017, I believe, was our first ever. Was it? Did we want to do one in 2016? I can't remember, to be honest.
Remember.
I didn't go all the way back. But what I do know, we did one in 2017. I found the graphics.
Yes.
Point is, this is a yearly yearly award show that we give to all sorts of cool categories that we will get to. But that said, we kick it off with our giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But sub first to get 2 chances to win and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. Thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day. Check them out. Tell them we sent you. Okay, so with the first pick of this week is going directly to the 220,002 Magic Micsies, everybody.
Yay!
Incredible!
We
Right,
made it to the end of the year. Good job, everybody.
We did it. It's incredible. And so with our Magic Micsies broadcast here, we like to kick it off with the best Wizards move. What was the best thing that Wizards did this year? Last year's winner was the Arena Android rollout. This is the Arena mobile rollout.
Yeah.
It was very successful.
I haven't heard anything about that since then, which I think is good news, right? No news is good news if it's still working.
There was a time in which there was an update that made people's batteries run really hot and phones run really hot, but they fixed that and it's fine.
Sure.
Otherwise,
there's
honestly,
20,000
their
Magic
mobiles,
cards. Whatever.
Yeah, their mobiles actually learned really well.
I mean, I did buy this phone because of it, so I could.
Oh,
you got one of the folds?
Yeah,
I love it. Got a fold
it plays some mean magic.
It
Oh,
looks
that's
like it.
dope. All right. Well, that's super duper cool. Well, our possibilities in this category were Pauper to the People, which there's Street Fighter Universes Beyond, which I loved. I really did love that one a lot. Bringing back early access preview streams. That left us for a while, and now it's back. And 40K Commander and Collector decks. And the winner goes to the 40K Commander decks and Collector decks. This was the best move that Wizard made all year long. This was an incredible product. They literally told their investors they cannot print it fast enough. That's how successful this thing is.
Yeah, I think the decks seem really good. We got to play an episode of it for our new Commander show, and these were not your basic precons. This was something really cool and really unique, and it, is a little bit on the higher side for precons, but honestly, 40K fans are, a $60 deck to a $100 deck for a 40K player is chump change. So that's fine. And the cards in it are more than worth it. It seems like they really pushed the limits here on what a precon can do, and people seem to be enjoying them.
Yeah, the time that I got to play with some of the cards was in a peasant cube, commons and uncommons, and of all of the commons and uncommons in the history of Magic, I ended up with 4 cards from the Warhammer 40K Commander decks in my deck, which speaks to its power level. That's quite a lot of cards from one expansion to be in, a cube, something of that sort of gravitas. Obviously, the crossover potential with Magic is insane. Getting fans of another game to buy into your IP is spectacular.
And also
It's
having
a
people
deserving winner.
Right. And also having people at Wizards who loved Warhammer. And, this is where I think Henry Cavill's new show is going to be amazing, because when the nerds are in the room and they're making the decisions, it gets really cool because there's layers on layers of stuff that's being referenced. And I also agree with Chad that this means that I think Lord of the Rings is going to be amazing. Lord of the Rings, again, does not go into standard, so it's more or less Modern Horizons 3 for all intents and purposes in my book, and I am super excited about it. So
We hope.
Oh, yes.
I still have my doubts that Lord of the Rings might be we hope the IP sells the packs and not the quality of the cards, sort of like the last D&D set.
Right.
Yeah, but D&D is not Universes Beyond, as we discussed.
The seconds sometimes fall short of the firsts. We've seen it with Modern Masters. We've seen it with D&D. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. All right. So for our number 2 here, we're going to talk about the best. We get to talk about the worst. Now, last year's winner for the worst move was canceling early access preview streams that we just said was part of the best move option this year.
Right. Well, and it didn't win. So
yeah, the nominees are the Arena Economy stream in March. That did not go great.
Yeah.
Pride being blocked in Your Nation, the Pride secret lair being unavailable. The MagicCon Vegas preparations. The events didn't show up till very late. Those that were scheduled and got sold out quickly. The Joanne Fabric gift card there for a while until that was rectified. 30th anniversary packs, which was kind of the very definition of a lead balloon. And set-based Jumpstart. See also our last podcast if you want to hear me rant about how much I don't like set-based Jumpstart. Now, I love Jumpstart 2022, but this is the set-based Jumpstart. That's not great. So what do you guys think about the worst move?
I mean, honestly, so in terms of worsts, this is kind of the best worst group that Wizards has had. Like, this year didn't have a ton of terrible as compared to some of our previous years. But there were some notable, real bad pockmarks. And I think that there was one that was head and shoulders below the rest.
Yeah, I mean, last year's winner, as you mentioned, was the canceling of the stream event. Now, I don't even think that that was all that bad. I think the thing that made it bad was how they did it with no notice, people canceling work, people renting spaces to, be in the event was really tough for a lot of people. This one, I actually think, is significantly worse than that. Do we go into the winner here?
Let's go into the winner. The winner for worst WotC move is the 30th anniversary packs. Oh my God. The whole thing, like soup to nuts, was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
To now, there's been no positive reaction
now
from the community.
I will say, now beyond people being very loud, they do quietly sell.
Sure.
Quietly. I don't think a lot of people are bragging about buying them, and a lot of people are bragging about selling them. They just kind of move in the background. So they are moving for more money than they were charging for them, but not at some crazy high rate. No one's getting crazy rich or doubling up their money by any means. And it just kind of limps along.
I think the reason for that is because this product is not actually bad. Evan had some very reasonable explanations as to why the product is priced the way it is, though most of us don't agree. That's okay. They can price it for whatever they want. I think the big miss here is that this was labeled as 30th anniversary to celebrate 30 years of this game that we have all supported and sort of propped up and made what it is today. So it doesn't feel like we are celebrating when only a very, very, very select few can actually enjoy this product in any way. And that was even shown with their marketing strategy when the only people that got it were sports celebrities, basically. Like, they didn't even send it to like their regular Magic content creators. We saw very few people, maybe like Brian, and then that was like kind of it. Not even sort of that middle ground that you might expect to see. It was just
I mean,
who were the two baseball player and the football player that were promoting it?
I assume Cassius and Trevor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would think I'll put it this way.
Pence.
Right. There has never been a product that was so toxic from Wizards of the Coast that when they send it to a different game creator, that game creator had to take that video down and apologize for it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the toxicity level. And I haven't seen that Or much ever. All right, so let's move on here. We got to get the worst move out of the way, which we did. So our third category here is hashtag of the year. Now, last year's winner was hashtag MTG Booty, which I'll be honest was a lot sexier, let's just say it, than hashtag MTG Neo, hashtag Free the Wizards, hashtag MTG Bro, hashtag Magic 30, and hashtag Cry Bully. This being the Judge Manifesto.
Yeah. That was hashtag Crybully was just, I felt like it needed to be in there just so that I could say it. It's the Underground Dojo keyboard cage fighters of our generation.
I don't even remember that ever happening. I
can't
had
recall
no idea.
it. I'm sure it was something you can jog my memory. But the point is, while we don't have the booty this year, the winner here for the hashtag of the year is MTG Bro. Now, look, we've got bros, we've got moms. Mm-hmm. Are we going to have sisses? We're going to have sisters and uncles and aunts?
Well, the hashtags for the sets this year have, at the end of the year, bro, mom, one, have been very good.
So this funny thing keeps happening in my channel because I keep saying bro drafts in the titles of my stream. And this has happened several times where people come in and be like, what are we playing? And I'm like, hey, we're playing Brothers War Drafts. If you're ever curious what we're doing, you can always check the title of the stream when you're coming in. And they're like, oh, I did that. I thought you were saying like drafts, bro. And I'm like, no.
Drafts, bruh. We're just like, we're keeping it real, bruh.
That is not the title of my stream.
Stream is magic, bruh.
Yeah.
Well, the winner for the hashtag of the year is MTG Bro. I mean, it's just a silly, you're like, it's one of those like, for real? Are they really going to say bro for Brothers War? And then they did. And so we got to lean in.
I do want to say that I voted for Free the Wizards. This is one that I felt a little strongly about and was a little disappointed that we didn't have hashtag Free the Wizards, which, if you recall earlier in the year, this was this Alta Fox Capital whatever happened.
Silliness.
where it seemed like what it felt like was some crypto bros were like, we want to remove Wizards from Hasbro and then make John Finkel the president, I guess. It was just a very strange time for Magic, and it felt like that was the hashtag that to me was the most unique of the year. However, MTG Bro is a significantly better hashtag, and it is much better for Wizards, and I'm glad that Wizards is leaning into using the hashtags as a tool for advertising and not just as set collation.
Yeah, there was a point in the Alta Fox thing where it just felt like there's a bunch of very wealthy people telling a bunch of other very wealthy people that they can make better decisions than they can. So,
yeah,
I mean, sure.
Yeah, but
all right.
You're right. We should get MTG Sis, MTG Dad.
Absolutely. Let's go. So for our next section here, this is our in memoriam section. Now, of course, there's no winners here, but we want to talk about a few things that left us this year in one form or another. We'll all have a little bit here to contribute for our in memoriam. Let's get here back to our first pick slide. Now, for me, I want to go over a little bit of the bands, not all of them. There were so freaking many of them. But in Standard, if you'll recall, there was Alrund's Epiphany, Divide by Zero, Faceless Haven. They banned Faceless Haven. And Meat Hook Massacre.
These were this year.
I know, right? This year they did this. Meat Hook Massacre definitely felt like the definition of we should keep it in Standard 6 more months because that product needs to move. Then we'll quietly ban the best card in it. For Modern, there's Lurrus of the Dream Den in March, Yorion in October. Could we just companions, everybody? Companions. Yeah. In Legacy, we got rid of Ragavan in January. How in God's name do you keep Ragavan in Modern and it's banned in Legacy? What sense does that make at all? And lastly, for people like myself who hang out in Arena and play Historic, we no longer get access to Memory Lapse, which kind of cracks me up knowing that I lived through Memory Lapse being a card and existing and no one gave a damn about that card. And nowadays it's seen as one of the best counter spells ever, whereas back in the day it was just unplayable. Nerd Girl?
All right, we're going to move along with the bands here. We've got Pioneer, Luris the Dream Den in March, Explorer. We have Winota and Tybalt's Trickery in May. Both I'm fine with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Popper, we have Atog, Bonder's Ornament, Prophetic Prism, Galvanic Ray, Disciple of the Vault, and 4 other initiative cards in the summer.
But you'll never be able to name them. Not
I was
ever.
just going to say, does anyone think that they could name a single card that has the initiative? Not even one that got banned.
Maverick Girl, you can't. No.
I don't think I could.
We were talking to you. Okay. And go ahead. Keep going.
Lastly, we have Alchemy. We have the Grinning Ignis.
That card's
Right.
just made to be busted. Like, what were they
And
doing?
that was busted with some weird alchemy enchantment that made treasures, I think.
It was a creature, an alchemy creature that gave it, like, when it enters the battlefield, you make a treasure token, and you can just like loop it, and it was a mess. Anyway, Reuben?
Yeah, so those were all cards that left us this year. But there were some other things that left us this year. And there were also some people and companions as well, the good kind of companions. And so this is a less jokey section of the In Memoriam segment, but still needs to be done. SCG's content model, Star City Games, the content subscription model, that's all gone and kaput. That's a big shift in Magic, is that Star City Games is no longer the whatever their tagline was, the number one something. But they aren't doing that anymore. And also, you might recall that there was a little program called I Hate Your Deck. And that also is gone. And
That was a rocket ride until the rocket exploded.
Is it gone? They're still getting like
are they still
50,000
making it?
views.
It's
yeah,
still
they're
here.
still getting like 50,000 views a video.
Never mind.
Yes,
not
no,
dead.
It blew up in
apparently.
terms of the original like team duo that was part of it, but
Okay.
it is continuing. That
No
channel
other
still
content
exists.
creators will touch it anymore.
I mean, there's
So
that.
I hate your Deck's content model. Also, we'll say it that way.
Put it that way.
But we did, of course, have to say goodbye to some things that we aren't going to be nearly as flippant about. Leading off with a couple of very good pups. Philip Thaddeus Jenkins, better known as Philly, which is one of Mike Linneman's puppers. You might know Mike Linneman from the MTG Dogs, #MTG Dogs bracket that he runs every March. And lots of good wiener dogs, and Philly was one of them and was a very good pupper, as well as Shiro, of Brian Kibler fame. Shiro passed away this year as well. Nothing makes us happier or more sad than our furry companions, and we have to say goodbye. I was pleased to meet both of those pups. I believe I met Philly, certainly met Shiro, and well, they will be missed. We also said goodbye to Kazuki Takahashi, who was the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! And gone long before his time, and also, as I'm aware, died a hero's death.
Yeah, he was there trying to help people.
Trying to help people, saving them from a riptide or something at a beach somewhere.
Right.
And passed away. As well as Jordan Isaka, who was a legendary legacy player in the Seattle area, passed away as well. So we say goodbye to those fine folks.
There you go. All right. So let's move on here to our number 5 category. This is the most hated card, which oftentimes gets talked about a whole lot in goods and bads, just because when things show up a lot, that's just kind of how it is. But for our nominees here for most hated card, now last year's winner was Tybalt's Trickery. I still hate that card with a burning passion. I'm glad it's banned in any format I care about because it sucks and it's stupid. I hate it. But most hated card this year, Tamio's Completion from Neo.
I mostly just hated that Tamio got completed. That's why that's on the list.
Obnixilis the Adversary from New Capenna. I was really afraid of that card. I was straight up afraid of that card. I'm glad it's still annoying, but it's not as bad as I had feared. Sheoldred Whispered One from DMU. The Secret Lair Astrology Lands. Who are they for? Who was asking for this product? Okay. Or Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Nerd Girl, tell us who was the winner.
The winner is Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think this is the only thing I added to the list this time. And I think that this is the new giant.
Bone Crusher Giant?
Bone Crusher
just
Giant.
goes
Like, I'm
in
sick
everything.
of seeing it. I just
Yeah.
want it to go away. It's just too good. And it's just going to be expensive and everywhere for the entire time it's in standard. And it's just too long.
I love this card.
I'm
sorry.
What I appreciate about the card is that the best card in the set is a rare. I always like it when they make the best card in the set, not a mythic, because then it just becomes stupidly crazy expensive.
Too good.
See also Modern Horizons too.
It is too good.
But it's way more value, I think, than you can expect. I appreciate that there's certain things you can try to play against it. Invoke Despair, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's nice to get rid of both the token and the enchantment. But again, to put so much power and when the power, like, it's one of those like countdown clocks of if you can't kill the Kiki Jiki mirror guy, the game's just probably over. Like,
it's too good and it's too generically good.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in everything. It is card filtering, it's mana fixing, it's mana ramp, it's a token, it's 2 permanents for 3 mana.
it's
not to
putting
mention
cards in the
fact that its
graveyard,
value-
like for regrowth and
it's a lot.
Zombifying
It's a 3-drop, Evan, and the thing that you're saying, the best answer to it is a 5 mana spell that's 4 black.
Yeah.
Like, that is, if that is the answer, I don't want to live here. I don't want to be on this planet anymore.
Right, like, if your answer to this is a disenchant, well, they have a 2/2 that gives them mana every turn.
Right.
So you don't want to just answer the enchantment part. You want to answer both parts, but you can't. So if we could get a card that answers both of those, that'd be great. All right, so let's move on here. So if we're talking about the most hated, let's talk about the most loved card. Last year's winner was Asmarano Mardikadice Koldakar.
Did you forget how to pronounce her?
Asmarano Mardikadice Koldakar, yes.
There we go.
Got that in there. I practiced it for like an hour. Okay, so anyway, that was last year's winner. It was a super fun, cool card. Not quite to that level this year, but we got some fun ones. Spirited Companion is an option here, one of our nominees. The Wandering Emperor, an offer you can't refuse. Urza Planeswalker, and Kaibo Utabi Prince from the latest Jumpstart. And Reuben, tell us who was the most loved card this year.
Well, I honestly think that it was the Wandering Emperor was the most loved card for a couple of reasons. One is we complain about basically every Planeswalker design that comes out. Either it's too generic, or it's too powerful, or it's too weak, or it is some sort of complaint. But the Wandering Emperor was balanced, it was unique, it was interesting, and it put a new twist on a beloved character that we didn't really know that much about. So I really liked the Wandering Emperor quite a bit.
I think it was a cool design. I don't think I didn't like it. I actually kind of was very annoyed with it because for a very long time, when the card pool was very small, your deck either had Wandering Emperors or your deck was built to beat Wandering Emperors. Very specific. There was no middle ground, and that card's win rate was just absolutely nutty, and that makes me not like it. It's too much.
It is arguably, I would say, the best Planeswalker since War of the Spark. It's just so damn good. It's almost perfectly costed in a whole variety of ways. In particular, because the Planeswalker abilities at instant speed is not anything we've sort of really seen before, but we've also got, it makes creatures at instant speed. It gives things first strike at instant speed. It answers and exiles something that's scary at instant speed into their turn. Like, there's so many things that it gets right. Multiple copies aren't a problem for that reason alone. And it's just, nothing as versatile as the Wandering Emperor.
Nerd Girl's right, though, that when the card pool was small, it was oppressive. But as the card pool grew, it sort of faded away almost. Not
because it doesn't deal with Fable very well.
Right, that's a good point.
There you go. Yeah. So either way, it's still a damn good Planeswalker and sees play to this day. Now for our number 7 here, this is our drama of the year. Last year's winner was The End of the Dream. There are no more gold, platinum pros who can be on any sort of gravy trains. The trains have left the station. That said, our first nominee here is Delays for Unfinity 40K Heads and Tails. It took over a year for some people to get their Heads I Win, Tails You Lose commander deck from Secret Lair. I Hate Your Deck Meltdown. That was a giant explosion of the 2 creators responsible for that. Baldur's Gate TikTok leaks. The Judge Academy manifestos, which there were judges who were unhappy with the situations, and the 30th anniversary, everything, as it does. And so many good options here for lots of drama. You could even argue that one of them is like either Baldur's Gate TikTok leaks or just Baldur's Gate.
Right.
Because it was a disaster of a set. It was, lots of people lost lots of money because Commander Legends was one of the best selling sets ever. I'm serious, ever. And Commander Legends 2, everyone was ready to go. And those sets were bad, or that set was bad, and a lot of people lost their shirt.
If we were catering to a different audience, if we were catering to store owners and collectors, then perhaps Baldur's Gate in general would have been our choice. And if there was a category for most disappointing set or something like that, then perhaps that would be a choice. But I think that if we're talking about in a year's time, when we're doing this show again and we look back at last year's winner and we say drama of the year Baldur's Gate, I don't think so. Drama of the year Delays, I don't think so. I think that when we look back at this year and we look back at what the drama of the year is,
it's the 30th anniversary edition. You can't go around like I look this to me as a guy who, is a marketer by trade, who understands the importance of trying to communicate and trying to sort of create your story and, speak to the right type of customer and all this other stuff. There was definitely a meeting where someone said, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. And no one argued with them. And the idea that this is the celebration of 30 years of Magic became the narrative, and it just drove it right in the ground. Like, call it a trophy, right? Call it a mantelpiece. Call it something cool and unique and crazy shiny that only a few people get. But calling it the celebration was really the dagger.
Yeah, and I think that this was on the list. It says 30th anniversary, so I was thinking the whole thing, like the event and everything. But the product itself won worst move. I didn't vote for this because I feel like worst move is not really a drama. It was a decision that was made, and we were all very unhappy about it. But there's really no drama around it. So I do want to quickly mention the runner-up that I voted for was I Hate Your Deck.
Yeah.
Not because there was one meltdown, but because there was like 6.
Yeah.
There was the big blow-up between the 2 content creators, and then there was the big, all the allegations about the remaining member, basically being very unkind to women. And then there was more drama where that creator continued to post videos of content creators who asked to not be having their episodes aired and posted them anyway. So I thought it was a worthy runner-up notification because it
Absolutely.
was a year's worth of drama coming out of that channel, which was the fastest growing Magic channel to ever hit 100,000 subscribers. You had everybody from, the sports people in Magic, Tolarian Community College, everybody. Like, Prof was posting, like, let's get this channel to 100,000, like, weeks before all of this happened. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was messed up. But,
yeah.
30th anniversary has so much attached to it, good and bad, honestly. And some of that drama is great and some of that drama is not so great. But, even when they released the 30th anniversary packs and how those sold and how they stopped selling them and the product period for selling is over or whatever, just the whole thing, just the whole thing.
I think the intensity of the explosions surrounding I Hate Your Deck was a hotter burning center.
Mm-hmm.
But the 30th anniversary was a much larger supernova affecting more people. They're both worthy, and they were both just ridiculous dramas. But somebody's got to win.
There you go. So,
That's
true. And for our next category here for artwork of the year, last year's winner was Teferi from Black is Magic. This year, I didn't have time to get them all listed here, unfortunately, in terms of like it's showing them on the screen. But it is for Boseiju Who Endures by Chris Ostrowski, Guile Sonic Soldier by Wesley Burt, Ob Nixilis the Adversary by Yong Jae Choi, Bearscape by Ricardo Bessa, which from the Pride Secret Lair, and Balan Wandering Knight by Mai Okuma, the manga version of that card. And the winner for artwork of the year is Ob Nixilis the Adversary by Yong Jae Choi. Very wonderful piece. That is on the screen.
Yeah, this is the one with the where Ob Nixilis is sort of like has a hand over his chest, and then Lord Xander is dead, like very Baroque style at his feet, right in the aftermath of the Adversary War. Spoiler alert for the events of that storyline. But yeah, it was a very powerful piece from an artist that we don't usually see a lot, although we've gotten a lot of Yong Jae Choi this year. Let me see how many pieces he has now. He's 117 pieces now. Just an excellent piece. The Bearscape obviously is a standout. Honestly, when the year started, I thought that nothing was going to beat that Boseiju. That Chris Ostrowski Boseiju is spectacularly good. And we just had a lot of really good art this year.
We did. I voted for Ob Nixilis because it had everything. The art was amazing, but it was also a very moving piece. Like, you see it on the card and you're like, oh, this looks really cool. He looks amazing. He's got the pinstriped outfit. He's got like the pose. He looks like what I want Ob Nixilis to look like, but you don't see the Xander in the actual card art. And then when you see the blown up image, I was just absolutely blown away. And I thought it was the most intense picture I have seen on a Magic card. Like, we're starting to get a little bit more gore. We're starting to get a little bit more, intense stuff, scary, spooky, but nothing like this.
Yeah. This feels real.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful piece. And there's a lot of sort of feeling emotion. There's a sort of some amount of pride that Ob Nixilis has right there. Yeah. You can almost feel coming out of him, which is cool. My selection was Bearscape from the Pride Secret Lair. I thought that it was a sort of a watershed moment that was nice. It's super neat card. It's not even that expensive, which is nice to see, honestly, for those who are curious and want this type of thing. It's just something I like Wizards leaning into. So I thought it was great and cool and fun. All right. So let's see here as we move on to number 9, which is the coverage moment of the year. Now, this category, a little weird. Now, last year's was Takahashi's World's Yatta, if you recall. That was fantastic. Yeah. But this year, we don't have a winner for coverage moments.
Yeah, so I'm okay with there being no award this year for this. There just wasn't
much coverage, honestly, right?
No. Now, we had some moments, but I don't think that there's a worthy winner here.
Yeah. No, but I think we should mention them. And I also think that it would be good for each of you guys to say who you voted for, the ones that stood out to you the most.
So the nominees this year was SCG Live or the SCG Tour or whatever how they branded that. Had closed up shop. The Magic Summit, that was really cool. The Legacy Pit, where JW's Top Deck Bolt was happening. Nathan Stour winning Worlds. That was actually really fantastic. And Graham is lymphoma free from the desert clip, the desert bus clip from that thing. And Nurgle, you abstained this year from coverage voting.
I did, because I didn't actually see any of these things or have strong opinions about them. Obviously the Graham, I think, would have just gotten my vote just because it's fantastic news. but didn't really seem like coverage to me. I was at Summit. I didn't get to watch any of the coverage. I didn't see the Star City stuff, and that's it. So there was no. I did vote for the Yatta last time because it was like an iconic moment that made it all over social media. Whereas I didn't feel like these did that, and as a non-coverage watcher, they didn't impact me.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. For me, it wasn't. The coverage story of the year is that SCG closed up shop, but the award is called the coverage moment of the year. And so there wasn't really a huge coverage moment. The coverage moment of the year, strictly speaking, is the Legacy Pit moment with the top deck bolt after like 85 shuffles, like trying to dig with 85 different cantrips.
Yeah, the Legacy Pit moment itself, I went and watched it the other day, and it's brilliant. It's one of those things where the Dragon's Rage Channeler is giving surveil triggers, and he's trying to trigger it as many times to find the lightning bolt using ponders. And finally, he ponders, he dazes his own ponder to get one more surveil trigger, which lets him look one card deeper, which is, of course, the lightning bolt. And it is fantastic and a wonderful moment. And, we just don't have a lot of those this year. Yeah. So there you go.
I mean, the award is called Coverage Moment of the Year. Graham being lymphoma free is great. It's it's not coverage.
Right. It's a great moment.
But SCG closing up shop is huge news. It's not a moment.
There you go.
I don't think there's really a huge coverage moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look here at our next category, which is Format of the Year. Now, last year's winner was Strixhaven Limited because it was just a weird bird. I love that, honestly. Let's make sets weird, and unique and strange. But for Format of the Year, our nominees here are Neo Limited, DMU Limited, Explorer, Pioneer, and Commander. And in a rare sweep, the Format of the Year, as chosen by us, is Commander. This year, I think more than any other, and we've seen lots of them, but as the ramping has gone year after year after year, this year was like, it's Commander time. And the products, here's the Commander cards in them. And the products, here's the cool Commander you can play around. Here's the cool Commander thing that's going to go in that Commander deck that you like. And here's the Commander set that you want to get. Commander. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I feel like they're similar to the way we had like the D&D Renaissance like the last year or two. I feel like Commander is starting to get that. It's been popular for a very long time, and arguably one of the more popular formats even a year or two ago. But I feel like this is the year where people are starting to create more content around it. Wizards is starting really to gear up this year towards marketing towards the, EDH players, which is really creating a ton more EDH options, which I think is bringing even more players in, which is bringing, making the creators create more content for it. You're seeing channels pop up left and right. And yeah, it's just been the thing that everybody is talking about for the entire year.
Yeah. Every big channel is a Commander channel now. Every set has 85 commanders. That's not new. It just continues to be a thing. Commander's driving the bus, especially with no Pro Tour, no Pro Scene. The thing that's really driving Magic is casual, and the thing that's driving casual is Commander.
I do want to note, I think there is something a little bit different that changed the Commander game, and it was subtle. I think nowadays it's not so subtle, but it was subtle at the time. White got card draw. This past year and the past 2 years, they finally said, look, white cards can, white creatures can draw cards. White triggers can just draw cards. And to have a 3-mana 2/1 flyer that draws a card in Gain Life, that's like a card that could not exist 5 years ago. They said that's 1000% unprintable. Well, nowadays white can draw cards and it's not a big deal. So therefore every color has some form of card draw so they can really kind of balance those out a little bit. And I think that was really a fundamental shift. So our next category up here, our next to last, is our set of the year. And the set of the year for last year was Modern Horizons 2, as Modern Horizons 2 constructed is what you call modern these days. The that said, Nerd Girl, what's our nominees for set of the year?
So our nominees are going to be Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Dominaria United, Warhammer 40K, Brothers War, and 30th Anniversary.
Ooh, maybe the most infamous, as it were. And what was our winner, Reuben?
I mean, all things considered, I think it just had to be Warhammer 40K, in my opinion. I know it's not a set per se, but nothing moved the needle more from a position that I wouldn't have necessarily expected it to than Warhammer 40K.
Yeah,
this was my choice as well. I think it was fantastic. And it does feel like a set because we got 4 full decks, so you can actually just play them in a closed environment. It is making a huge impact in, the cards are very impactful in being purchased all over the place for a bunch of different stuff. And it was just super cool. You got cool cards like Blood for the Blood God. Like, what a crazy title.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just going to be a hell of a Magic card, right? Like, as long as you do it right. Now, granted, I did vote for Kamigawa. I mean, maybe a little biased. I don't know. I just have been waiting for this set for 15 years or something. Right. But, whatever. It was the best, coolest thing I feel of the year, and I loved it, and it was great. And the fact that it crushed every other set, not close, was just, I mean, how long can you wait for that, before you get that win, when you say like, hey, we can do this, you can make it work, you can make it great, and they do, and it's like
the catharsis of a good Kamigawa set felt rewarding. Like the fact that the fans said, please, we need to go back to this place that we love, even though the sets were not great,
right? And
then we went back, and then the sets were good, and the flavor was good, and everything. Like, it was a good draft environment. Powerful cards came out of it. We are gonna go back to Kamigawa now.
Oh, 100%. Like they're already talking like, but the next time we go back, and I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes. I am very, very excited about that. Now, our final and arguably most prestigious award of the night is for Card of the Year, the card that defined 2022 as we have discussed it. Now, last year's winner was Expressive Iteration, a card that was later banned. Was it banned last year or was it banned this year? I can't remember.
It might have been banned this year. It just didn't make the...
Just crazy, super good.
Yeah.
But that said, Reuben, what is our nominees for Card of the Year?
Our nominees for Card of the Year are Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Shale Dread Whispered One, The Undercity, otherwise known as The Initiative, and Urza Planeswalker.
And Nerd Girl, what is our winner for Card of the Year?
Our winner, which is clearly wrong because you guys are wrong, but Fable of the Mirror Breaker was the winner.
It can be the most infamous as well as being Card of the Year. I can't deny the power level. You know what I mean? Because we're in Bone Crusher Giant territory of when I'm building a deck that has red mana in it and Fable is available in the format and I'm not running Fable, I better have a crazy good reason not to. Like, I'm not running other creatures or something. Like, it's going to be crazy good to not run this card.
I agree, but the same argument applies to last year as this year. The reason why the Take Extra Turns spell didn't win Card of the Year was because we didn't think it was a good card. It wasn't good for the format. It wasn't well balanced. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Fable of the Mirror Breaker being such an oppressive card should disqualify it from being a good Card of the Year.
Teferi Hero of Dominaria is a past Card of the Year, so being dominant and hated does not preclude you from being Card of the Year.
That was before I was on the show. I would have disagreed with it then, too.
You know what? At this point, I can only apologize. That's a fair point. I would say that Shale Dread does come close. Shale Dread took over and stayed on top for more than a month and was sort of the poster child of the deck. I chose against Shale Dread because I think Shale Dread is more replaceable, usually not a 4-of in the decks in which it's played. Certainly once Phyrexian Obliterator comes and rears its ugly head into Standard. But it is obviously an extremely good card and brought mono black and red black back up to the top. But Fable is the go-to red 3 drop and has been since it came in. Kind of came out of nowhere, if you recall. We didn't really give it a lot of hype when it was first released, but I mean, extremely powerful card that is tough to beat, and I think it's worthy of Card of the Year.
If I'm being totally honest, I don't actually like any of these options for Card of the Year. I feel like this year we didn't have a lot of really good cards. I should have thought about it a little bit more when we were going through this list, but I would have probably liked to have seen the Wandering Emperor on this a little bit more than some of the options. I think would have been a good nominee. Yeah. But I mean, there was nothing here that really excited me this year.
Yeah, it's tough. I think if we were all Commander players, I think we would be like, man, this year is a banner year and we got like unbelievable amounts of cool Commander stuff. Because if you're playing, you're mainly limited, or if you're trying to play constructed, it's like there's just a weird mishmash right now of it's cool when limited formats are nice, but there's 20 new commanders in this set, and you're like, okay, cool, So that kind of happened over and over.
Yeah, I mean, that said, it's tough to nail down one beloved card from this year. I'm really having trouble thinking of one.
The thing that tipped me from Sheoldred to Fable was just the fact that Fable's been around longer, more or less from the moment it saw serious play, it stayed on top, and Sheoldred has done the same thing, but this has done it longer.
I tell you what beloved card we could have put on this list is Blood for the Blood God. How about that? Well, that would have been an underdog for Card of the Year.
Card of the Year, Black Horse, would have been very cool. All right, that was our 2022 Magic Micsies. Thanks, guys, for hanging out and checking out all of the awards for this year. It was another wonderful year of Magic the Gathering. As we turn the corner here to the finisher, it's been a wild year in Magic, but there's always more on the horizon. So tell me, what stories and news will we be recapping next year's 8th annual Magic Micsies, Reuben?
Secret Lair and Universes Beyond are ever expanding to include the biggest and best brands to bolster businesses. Bolster businesses. So I look forward to the inevitable crossover of the highest value brand crossover of the two biggest subscription services in the world, Secret Lair, OnlyFans Beyond.
Goodness gracious. Nerd Girl?
Right. Well, with sequels like Avatar, reimagining like Wednesday, and revisits like Kamigawa and Dominaria smashing sales, it's only a matter of time before Magic Storyline returns to the most popular location. Ulroth. Wait, what?
Ulgrotha.
Ulgrotha returned.
That's Homelands, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a brilliant idea. Talked about that before. Don't go back to the planes that are awesome because you're going to have a lot of people disappointed. Go to the planes that suck and make them not suck. That's the key. Now,
I didn't know that was Homelands.
Oh yeah, we're old.
I love shouting out Ulgrotha.
As the resident Ebenezer Scrooge of the show, I care about a lot of things in Magic past and present, but I care most about the ghost of Magic future. And we're getting to where the only old guard remaining is Mark Rosewater. So I'm looking forward to 2023 when the heir apparent makes themselves known and Robo Rosewater officially takes over. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Reuben.
Thank you. And I'll see you next year.
Next year, everybody. All right. Moving on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and Alter Sleeves, my co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl and Reuben Bresler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at Twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Or join us here next week. Excuse me. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.